comment.
Bye. You only have KK for Susan.
Maybe Alan Devon News. I just want to go on record that Antonio had left one of his little recorders on the table here at the last meeting. After executive session, he brought it back in and he left it there by accident. A few days later, he told me about it. I was sent advice to say, I'll go check. So I came by and I talked with Jason. He said, well, I haven't seen it. Don't know where it is. I said, well, I appreciate it, dealing with that part. He said it left it here. And he kind of looked around a little bit and said, I don't know where it is. So Christy called me, we talked about it. She said, I don't know where it is. I did see it on the table when we left. We've looked at the videos. It was there on the table when we all left after the board meeting. Tony had gone to look to make sure it was off. So he then called me later and told me he had seen it there and it was there that night when everybody left. They both offered to pay for it. I said it wasn't about the money. It was about the principal and the property. And if it doesn't show up, there's a thief in the building, obviously, because it doesn't sprout wings and fly. So I don't know how many of the board members have been told about it, but I personally talked with Tony. I did later call Jerry and tell him I talked with Jason, and I talked with Christy about it, and it's still missing. They did look at the video and said it's a sensitivity if people walk in or whatever, if it goes off. It did not go off. Jason was the next person to come in that morning and said it wasn't here. So I don't know what happened to it, but they both said it's on the video, they both saw it. So obviously it was here. Somebody misplaced it, somebody, I asked them to ask, maybe the EMT said they come through. And nobody seems to know what it is. So there's a lot of papers here, a lot of important drugs. If there's a thief in the building, you might want to look at that video yourself and consider what happened. I don't know. But it just doesn't sound well. With me, I encouraged Antonio to file a police report, and he may do so. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Mr. Barfield? Yes, ma'am. It's downstairs.
I don't know what this is.
That's Antonio's.
Uh,
Yeah, you can sit down here. Go ahead. Is that here for a moment? Do you want to pass?
Hope you all got a copy of the report. For the month of November, I was trying to take out a total. We responded to 168 calls within the district. I did make some modifications to the report that you asked for, Mr. Zamora. And I think that even after I did that, I was somewhat pleased to see that our response times were still in pretty good shape. We had a few calls where they were extended, but when I did the mileage tracking on the GPS, I found out that those were areas that were 15 plus miles away. Some of them were around Pearson, some of them were between Pearson and 1343. I did have one call where the unit got, I don't know if they got lost or sent to the wrong location, but I did track and they went one way and then they got that to turn around and go the other way. But outside of that, I didn't find anything that was extraordinary. In summary, you know, it depends on how, again, how you want to look at this, but I hope that the reports on the last page are actually better than the ones that are on the first page. When I say that, they're a little bit more definitive. So as you can see, we had 44 calls in the city of Devon. We only had 12 calls in the city of Natalia. And then we had 112 calls in Medina County. When you look at the postal report, and I call it that as zip codes, then the Devon zip code, we had 104 calls. And the Natalia zip code, we had 52. And then we had 12 in the, I said Atascosa, but it's actually the Lytle zip code. And again, all those times turned out relatively well. When I took the 0 calls out, I think there was a total of 9. I went ahead and added a few more because it looked like we had, and I highlighted in green, we didn't leave the station, the patients actually came to the station, is what it appeared. So I didn't count those times either. But the total calls still remains the same, that either we responded to or patients came here to the location. I think I reported something like 11 mutual aid calls. It's the only one that I could track. Jason, did you track any more?
Yeah, so I got the report, which I shared with each of you from dispatch at Medina County. Under generic EMS user ID 8005, there were 8 generic EMS user ID 8007, and Lidl unit 697. There was a total of 18, but after cross-referencing with the calls that Allegiance did or the mutual aids from maybe one of the Frio or San Antonio Allegiance units, it comes down to a total of 16. So we've had 16 requests from other agencies into our district between November 1st and November 30th. And it says generic EMS unit because dispatch doesn't specify which agency that is. They just tell you generic EMS. It's whoever's closer.
Thank you.
Pat and Jason, can y'all add Jerry's email because he doesn't have it in his?
Yes.
Okay. Please do. I showed him mine. I'm just, if you could, when you send it to
Print one
us.
out?
Yes.
Okay.
No. When you send it to us, can you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because he doesn't have it in his.
Okay.
But he did get to see it today since I opened
Okay.
mine.
I thought you were on the mail this year. Sorry about that. I don't know. What I've been doing is sending the report to Jason, and then as a courtesy copy, I send one to Tony, and that's
That's fine. He just
Okay.
doesn't have it in his yet.
all right. Sounds good.
There's a lot of stuff I don't know.
I was gonna say, so again, Jerry's clueless.
No, I gave you mine.
That was a joke.
Oh.
Other than that, it was kind of a slow month compared to the previous months. I hate to say it, but slow month's a good month.
Just out of curiosity, Pat, and I'm not dogging anybody or especially anybody out in the public, but I see a welfare check. How many, off the top of your head, is there an average, or do you have any idea how many welfare checks are done? Just 1 a month,
30 to 40?
Really?
Yeah,
A month?
at least. We have a high, and I call this a history. The citizens of Divine, as long as I've been around, have developed a sense of trust. We get phone calls sometimes, it just wants us to verify their blood pressure cuff works, and that instigates a call report to the ambulance actually to respond to that. So we'll go out to those homes, check their blood pressure cuff against ours, and validate. Some people just don't feel well, just want us to come out and check them out, but don't want to go to the hospital. I call those welfare checks. We've always done those. Years ago, right after we built the station, we had a high number of people that would actually come here for that. But over the years, that number seems to have fallen for some reason, and we get, called out to go to their homes.
Is there some way that we could probably, through KK and other venues, maybe encourage something like that? Because I know that, at one time or another, Randy was having the same problem, and, Mrs. Smith or Mrs. Garcia, whoever, at 3 o'clock every Thursday calls for something.
Yeah.
Either, there's UFOs or Fred Sanford's having a heart attack.
I don't want to sound negative.
Well, I don't either, but I mean, there are those types of calls, unfortunately.
I will tell you that is, it's a nationwide issue. Some of the larger cities and some actual private companies have started up what they call community EMSing, where people who need someone to check them out have someone that they can call and they'll send them. their insurance companies provide for that. Or these companies contract with insurance companies to provide those services. In San Antonio, the hospital districts, Bear County and others have joined a co-op and actually sent money to San Antonio Fire to help pay for that community service. It's an expensive endeavor, but it frees up resources. So the ambulances aren't going to a call. You actually have a chase vehicle or something similar to that with a couple of medics. They'll make locations, they'll make contact with the medical director, and then based on what the medical director and the team sees, they may decide that the patient should be transported or that the patient doesn't need an ambulance.
You know, Daisy Thornton at 819 Florida got one call a day.
Yeah.
So if you were on duty and you got the one call a day, you had to go visit with Daisy. But I was just wondering about those. So it's nothing new. It's kind of embedded in your calls. And you designate them all as welfare checks?
To us, they call 911.
Yeah.
And so to us, it's a 911 call. Anybody's been in business long enough, I know they may say one thing to dispatch, but if you've been in this business a long time, as a first responder, a lot of times what the information that goes to dispatch, no fault of dispatch, people on the phone just give the wrong information, then you get to the house and you find out it's far more serious and the patient does need transport to the hospital. So it's just one of those things you
No, I
never know.
understand. This 911 call.
Yes.
But once you get there and determine what's really happening, you change it to welfare check.
We call it a refusal, is what we call it.
Okay.
Because our goal is that if you call us, we take you to the hospital, but if you want to go, we don't take you.
Okay.
But thank you for asking. Did I answer that appropriately, sir?
Yeah.
Okay.
Daisy Thornton.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions for Pat? George? Thank you, Pat.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
My turn?
Yes, sir.
Okay. FYI, our chief executive officer is here. If you want to talk to him for any reason.
Oh, that, I heard the bus hit you. I heard the bus hit you.
Every day. Just depends on what it's for. That's all you get paid for.
I was looking into a homestead exemption for ESD4. It doesn't exist right now. And I believe I was told by somebody, I don't know who it was, that it's illegal. Well, it's not illegal. We can do it. And there's several ways, there's two ways you can do it. According to the law, you can either vote it in by the governing body, which is us, or you can throw it out to the public and have a general election, which is going to run about 20 grand, and it'll probably pass maybe 8 to 1. We did the same thing at the county when we froze the taxes. Well, the people sitting on the court didn't want to look like they were helping themselves out. Well, so they decided to go to an election. We spent X amount of dollars on the election, and it passed 20 to 1. So basically, it was freezing the taxes. Well, this is just offering a homestead exemption. Like I said, it doesn't exist now for ESD4. Went and spent the day with, it seemed like the day, with Melissa Lutz and our tax assessor collector and our elections administrator. And Louis gave me all the ins and outs of how to call for an election if we're going to do it that way. And Melissa told me what we could do, but I got more information out of Marvin Zook over at ESD1. But I haven't heard from Quentin Cook. Is that his name, Quentin? Clint Cook. Marvin says he knows more about that than anybody.
I thought we had charged Tony with talking to our attorney about that for this agenda.
Well, evidently they talked to their attorney, so they did it. And it's all right to do. Here's I didn't make the copies of these, but this is a Texas law that allows it.
No, I agree with you. I think we were all in agreement. I'm surprised that we were being told it was not.
We have in ESD4, 4,567 homesteads, and over 65 homesteads, there are 1,936. There's 338 disabled vets who pay no taxes, so that's the numbers that they would use for this exemption. Now, ESD1 passed a $20,000 homestead exemption for across the board blanket for everybody. They also included in that an additional $20,000 for the 65 and over. So if you're 65 and over, like Patrick, well then you get a little bit more consideration. And I think if something like this were to be used to show the people that we're trying to help them with their taxes, when this board, if it does, I'll never vote for it, but I probably won't be here. But if this board goes out and decides to raise the tax rate and go out on their own and become a tax-funded entity, they may be a little bit more susceptible to it. So it's got to be worded correctly before it can be acted on. I've got some, if you want that information, you can have a copy of it. I'm waiting on a call from, well, I'll probably wait tomorrow, from Clint Cook. Clint. According to Marvin Zook, who's the president of ESD1, he said this guy knows more about it than the guy that wrote the book. So I'm waiting on a call from him to get all the ins and outs. But it appears, and according to Marvin, all the board has to do is vote for it. And we send a copy of the minutes to the appraisal district, and it gets included. Now, we've got until July to do this. That's when they certify the tax rolls. So if you want to look at it, and well, I want to put it on the January agenda. And give you a chance to gather all the information. I'll give you that and copies of this here.
That way, we can all have copies.
Yeah, you can, sure. By all means. You can have whatever you want.
I want to make sure everybody has it to go through it.
I can scan it and send it.
ESD.
Okay, so we'll give it to Christie and she'll scan it and send it to all
And
of us.
that's a list of all the homesteads. So the numbers are there, and if you've never sat down and visited with Melissa Lutz, I suggest you
Not
do
today.
it. But anyhow, that's, if you have any questions that I can answer, throw them at me. Like I said, there are two ways to do this. The easy way is the governing body vote on it. The hard way is go see Luke Torres, order an election, pay him 20 grand, he brings the machines over, everybody votes, and it only passes like 20 at once. Because the 65 and over are the people who vote. But anyhow, that's two options, the way you can do it. The only thing that is written in concrete, or in stone rather, is that this number, this exemption cannot be less than $3,000. $3,000 is where you start with your proposed homestead exemptions. ESD1 went with 20 grand, and they've got an ungodly number of disabled veterans who don't pay any taxes. The numbers here somewhere.
I'll give it back.
Anyhow, it's here and it's too much trouble to read. But anyway, they went with 20 for a blanket homestead exemption, and then an extra 20 for 65 and over. And so when I get the proper wording for the agenda item for January, I'll get with Christie and get it on the agenda and make sure that the wording is correct. And if you want to vote on it like that, like I said, the election run us about 20 grand, 22,000, according to Loopy. This one costs us the cost of gas to get here. So that's my spiel. Do you have any questions? No.
How much difference did Melissa say it would make if it was passed in the difference in the amount of money that ESD is getting now versus what they would have gotten had those been applied?
I can find that number, but when I call her, I can hear her eyes rolling back in her head. She can give me the numbers on the difference. And I think it would be a little bit less, or it would be considered, not considerably, but it would be less after our taxes that we bring in. However, at the same time, it would make us a little bit more conservative.
So it's the same formula as they calculate it as your tax levy. So it's divided by 100 times the tax rate. So you divide whatever that, if it's 20,000 divided by 100 times what our tax rate is.
Yeah, but district-wide, she
If you have round,
Total for
probably,
district,
no doubt.
she can give you the district-wide number.
So what is that figure ESD4 got this year, and had those exemptions been applied to those figures, what ESD4 would have gotten, I guess, is a financial decision. The board would probably need to know before you decide, I would think, is it 5,000, is it?
Just so
50,
happens that she gave me that
100,000.
number.
She did give you a number? Okay, cool.
Yes.
I would think so, that's her job.
ESD4 has a tax base of $1,590,579,742. So, there are a total of 89,683,424 total exemptions. But that's for disabled vet, first responder, surviving spouses, probation, I don't know what it is. But there's nothing for homestead or over 65, zeros. So that would be something that you could probably figure out.
Yeah, Melissa probably could. I know City of Divine was a little bit surprised when they did their budgeting for next year, how much it ended up being.
Yeah.
I think it was a little more than what they thought, and so they had to adjust their budget. So that's what I'm saying, that's something y'all might want to think of up front, so that your budget can be accounted for correctly.
Yeah. Well, as it is, the budget goes September to October, right?
October 1st.
Well, it's already set till then, and the numbers that this would produce wouldn't go into effect until, then. So that would be a new budget and something to consider. So anyhow, that's what I've got, and those numbers are available. You just got to ask for them, right? And you want to go ask Melissa?
Yeah, she'd be the one that could answer in layman's terms, absolutely.
I like her.
With all the new people moving into the county, the tax base is still gonna go up.
Yeah, with the new businesses and the move-ins, it's constantly going up.
Well, if you do 20,000 at the tax rate that you're at, that's $9.92 an exemption.
Yeah. Yeah, it's $9 or something.
No, I'm saying that it's not going to be a big hit for the district.
And if you go with the extra for the older people like Pat, then you get an $18 break on your taxes. And that's just, it's basically, it's kind of a starting point, but whenever somebody looks and says, hey, they're doing this for me, they don't put a pin to it. But in all reality, it's not that big a deal. It's a gesture. And you can always go up. You just can't go under $3,000. And I think that there are some people out there, and I know several of them, who they got about $3 left on the next Social Security check this year. So anything we can do to help them kind of people, I'm for. Even if it means me going over and trimming the trees and charging them an apple pie. I've done that. So that's all I got.
Has everyone read the minutes? Had a chance to read the minutes?
I have a couple of corrections that are
On the minutes? Let me get back over there.
on the consent item for the minutes. I abstained.
What number are we on?
Number 5, approval of minutes.
Okay.
I'd like it noted in the minutes that I abstained.
You fix me.
How'd you get the
I
camera?
don't know how I did that. That's gonna be questions out.
What was the other one?
Letter G, it doesn't have what the motion was for the, at least not that I see.
I think we tabled that one, didn't we?
For the iPad, well, it should be noted that it was.
I agree, I'm trying to remember.
I can't remember if we voted it down or tabled.
We tabled that one?
Everything's tabled. I didn't see it on the bottom of it.
So she's gonna make those
Yep.
corrections.
Says I have table all over my report.
Yeah. What you mean?
Looking for the minutes.
You gotta go. Oh, gosh, okay, hold on.
What was the other one you said? I want to follow you.
Yeah. Okay, has everybody looked at the?
Fix my name.
I'll fix it.
Okay.
Yes, that's what he was saying.
Give me until next year and I'll have it correct.
Okay.
I kind of
Did you hear the corrections?
Yeah.
So did you look at those?
looked at the agenda that I had written on.
Back here. Back to the- That should be the monthly statement, balance sheet. Here you go. Another.
Your part's bigger than this.
Without your glasses.
Smooth out.
Yeah.
Any questions on the monthly statement?
Those two corrections are in there.
The three corrections?
Yeah, well, George is in there. Three corrections are in there.
Instead of George?
Fix his new thing.
Do you have questions on the monthly statement one?
For the minutes.
No, she made the changes on the minutes already. We were looking at the monthly statement. And then there's a deposit statement. Did you open your deposit statement?
I just want to make comment to the financial statement that it is a deficit because we still have not started collecting our monthly tax collections from the county. Those will not sufficiently, they'll start picking up here in December. And it's cyclical. Our heavy months are December through generally March. And then we use savings from those collections to cover the other bills.
And then your deposit detail is in there with your comptrollers.
Usually January is when we have to transfer information.
Did you look at the comptroller?
No, where is it?
You said that the bank statement.
This is all of them. Comptroller.
This is the one that we work off of. I don't have the others. Jason didn't have it this one either.
County.
The Texas comptroller. So you can see the days of the deposits.
Yeah, I know Louis is good. It's that time of year. I don't pick up till January.
Right.
I don't pay mine until 30 on January 30th.
For the bills, you want them to
She
be.
gets mad.
Financials, because that will show the reconciliation to the balance sheet. So that our balance sheet number.
So you want me to send you the statement?
Well, it's not just the bank statement, it's the
Well, the
recount.
bank statements from, according to, cannot leave this office. You have to say, I don't take this home. So how do you want me to do that? To scan?
We'll talk about it.
Okay.
Okay, do you guys want to give me a motion for A and B, and then we'll talk about C?
I move to approve the
I do
minutes.
the recall.
With the changes,
With
Yeah,
changes.
the changes.
I'll second it.
As soon as I put this over, it's
That's C.
We still got a
Do you
vote.
want all of the account?
C. So is there any discussion on C? You all should have gotten the,
Well, we got a vote in favor. Yeah.
oh, my bad, I'm sorry. So I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Sorry about that, guys.
I make a motion that we approve item 6, subsection B, financial report.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Jerry first and then one.
Aye.
Sorry, I'm running through computers, I'm sorry. All right, so now we'll go to, let's see, to discuss an executive district, sorry, executive contract. I will,
Is there any changes between this one and the one?
No, sir, other than it just says that when there's a line item, per the line item, on a separate line item, and the amount that you put in there is what you agreed to pay me for the upcoming fiscal year, that's the only change.
So, and I think we discussed this a little bit last meeting, if not. So the initial budget that was set up was based on us being a self-service entity. And so when we discussed that rate for Ms. Marion, it was based on the fact that she was going to be doing a lot more services for the ESD, because of course we're going to have full staff, get the payroll, we're going to have all the supplies that we had to order internally, and just the inventory. So there was a lot more work that was intended that was part of that budget, we'll say. Well, that didn't happen. So it's my feeling that there's no need to change the rate. The rate should stay the same because the work is staying the same as it was in the previous year.
So the rate is 25 a year.
No, that was the new rate based on us going as a self-service entity.
Okay.
In the budget that was presented in August, when we originally were going to start our EMS, then my rate was at 65,000, because that was the oncoming, of me coming over and doing everything that I was supposed to do. So when we decided not to go through.
No, that is not true.
Yes.
That is not true. The rate of 25,000 was because you were going to start off part-time and then come on full-time. And there was never a guarantee of salary or that you would get that position. That position would have been put out for advertisement for anybody to apply for. And so, again, the work has not changed. Her contract before this year and her services have not changed. I do not believe that it's justified to pay her such a large increase. I'm willing to look at a different number as far as an increase from prior years.
What is it currently?
It was what?
$11,200.
So 11.2?
But to double it, I would not agree with, I mean, again, I'm one vote, but I would not agree with that.
Well, the workload will be the same until something changes, right?
If
If something changes.
So if we approved the budget already with the $25,000 on it, are we gonna have to go back and go through the budget again?
We can amend it.
Yeah, you can amend.
So I'll put it like this. So if we had in error budgeted 300,000 to Allegiance, it doesn't mean we're gonna pay Allegiance 300,000 just because we budgeted that. We're gonna stick to the contract at hand, and the same is true for her contract. She had a contract with ESD for 11,000. We never approved another contract. This is why we're having this discussion. The discussion of the 25,000 amount was based on us going to self-service. I don't understand why it's complicated.
It's not complicated. I just asked you a question.
No,
Because we already approved that budget with that amount on there.
it's just an amendment.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that you have to spend that.
Correct.
It just means that that's.
I
available.
understand
Yeah.
that, but we're gonna have to go back and amend that budget versus just saying, no, we're not gonna do this.
We're gonna amend it from 25 to whatever it was.
Whatever we choose to put.
You amend it if you go over that.
Yeah, there's no need to amend it unless we want to go over it,
Right.
or we need those funds in another area. And we want to move those funds to another area because we don't want to increase our overall budget. But just because a budget is there, again, as Jerry said, we don't have to spend it. It's just there in case we want to spend it.
And it would take an amendment to move it somewhere else, but it wouldn't take an amendment to keep it the same.
Correct. As long as we all have the facts.
I don't have a problem doing the same. It would take no action.
I move to take no action.
No need for moving. Motion. Just.
George?
I will change the amount on the contract, but I would really like the contract to be signed so we don't have this issue again. Because in the contract, it says that if you change it in a line item, then that's what my new thing. And that came from, the contract came from Ken County. That was the only thing, so that way it doesn't have to, next year, if it increases, we won't have to. But I will make the amendment of the 11-2.
Well, if that language is in the contract, I want that language removed from the contract. It should not be tied to the budget. It's tied to what the board agrees to on an annual basis.
Where's that at, Christie?
Under compensation. So I started in 2010, that was when the first contract is, and I've received 3 raises. When I originally started as a contractor here, I was making $250 a month. And between now and then, I've received three raises from since that contract started. So it's never been an issue until now.
Yeah. This is a conversation.
And I guess some of the duties that I know, some of these duties should go with our chief. Now that we have a chief, they're more in line with giving them to him versus the contractor.
So, some of them. Jerry.
Which one specifically are you talking about?
So D, that's really vague, but again, we have a chief for the ESD, so anything
Are we
that
looking
we
at the
direct
assistant implementation?
should go to him. He
Is
should
that
be-
the one I'm looking at?
So any decision we make, our chief should enforce.
But as far as the independent contractor contract, if we remove the amount that's in there, and replace it with what the position's currently making. That can be done without any problem
Yeah, we just say it.
decided.
Again, it's already approved. We don't have to do anything.
Well, this is one
I mean,
signed contract.
Yeah, we would sign it, but we don't have to vote on it because it's the same contract, it's just a renewal. And we can change the language. That, I'm still trying to find that says that she would be tied to the budget amount.
I'm not seeing that.
Same place where the 25,000 is.
So if she's an independent contract, is it renewed every year? I mean, y'all review it every year?
Well,
Year
that's
to
what
year?
I'm looking through it now to see.
It would
what the term
automatically
is.
renew.
It's auto-renew.
2.2.
But where does it say that it's tied to the budget?
I haven't seen that.
Chrissy, it's her, where does it state that it's tied to the budget?
And she's-
2.4. Says the extension of the current agreement may be noted in the minutes by both parties and any changes compensated noted within the annual budget.
Noted within the annual budget.
Yeah, it doesn't mean you're guaranteed the budget.
No, so I can see that. I was confused.
Put it
Probably
off from
say
good.
it has to be a budgeted item.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what it does say.
Any
And it's
changes?
just independent, no benefits, she just gets paid a flat salary.
Right.
Yeah, that's it, for sure.
You always bid it out if you wanted to too, each year. The duties have changed.
So we just replace the number and renew the old.
Well, because we're going to be discussing the job duties for our chief. Again, I'm bringing it for the commissioners to consider as far as the feelings on items or letter D under section 1. Whether that belongs with the chief.
I guess it depends on how you.
Yeah,
So
what-
if you
what
tell
is-
me
what
that I
is
need
the
to fix
deter-
something, then I need to fix it. It's not gonna be
Yeah,
cheap.
I don't see it as specific for either one. I see it as, hey, Christy, we need to fix this. Then she goes and she has right here, plus the board approval to go and fix whatever it is.
But we have a full-time employee now.
I understand that, but I'm not reading extra words into letter D.
It can be included in both.
Yes, I think that it could go with both of them.
But
Because,
how do they know who's responsible for which one? Are we going to be very
because
specific in our
if it's
motion?
ESD related, it's Christy.
What do you
Don't
mean?
y'all have job descriptions for
That's
each
what-
of these people?
Well, that's what
Yes.
we're going through.
That's what we're going through.
And the contract is reviewed every year
Yes,
Well,
before budget time?
yes.
no, this is the first time we're reviewing it in a while.
But it should be
I've been on
reviewed
board
before
2 years.
budget.
This is the first time I see the contract.
So it was reviewed on the budget, and the 25,000 was on the budget. That's why we're discussing this contract now.
On the budget, but not on the contract.
It is in both.
It should have,
I think the implementation of decisions can go both ways.
Yes.
So, and I guess this is the clarification that we need to make. I see Chrissy as a contractor to do all of our board meeting stuff.
Okay.
And so that's preparing for the board, our minutes, our agendas, posting our agendas. The action within the meeting itself, to me, is what our employees should do. Because
But you want her to give you certain things for the budget, that is within her realm. That is implementing what you requested from her. is how I read it.
Well, there again, I think Jason should be responsible for making sure we're staying within budget.
On the EMS side. I agree
On
with
all
that.
of it. On all of it.
But I'm not talking about she's deciding the budget. I'm talking about Juan asked Christie to do something, George asked Christie to do something, the board asked Christie to do something. That's implementation of our decisions.
But that's, I guess, we're not used to having a change. So that's what I'm trying to.
But I think it fits both sides.
Well, but I'm trying to separate the two. I'm trying to say, we have a full-time employee now who is here
Agreed.
5 days a week, 8 hours a day at least.
But there's ESD stuff that we get her to do, which is our implementation. And there's EMS stuff that we ask him to do, which is his
I think we're
implementation.
overthinking it. If it
I think so.
If it worked before, it just continues, just like it was. I mean, I think we're overthinking it.
Well, again, I think it goes back to the conversation we're about to have on his job description, that we were saying a lot of what we were asking him to do initially seemed like it was overlapping on chief, about the supervision, the investigation, all those things. And we were saying, no, that's really Patrick's role. He can, report it to Patrick. Patrick does that, report it back to him or us as a board. And to me, Jason's more managing the overall ESD. I'm not separating ESD from ambulance services or EMS.
That's what was discussed.
And that's how we discussed it when we were gonna be self-service. It was gonna be over all of it.
But I think, I agree, we're reading too much into that verbiage. I think it's vague, but it's also ESD based because she is our contract employee.
And she can't be a contract and an employee, she can't be
Okay, she's
both.
our contract.
And
And
again,
so do you go out for bids every year as for a contract, because she's a contract?
well, she doesn't exceed the threshold for bid requirements, so we don't have to bid
Nowhere
it out.
near the
But
threshold.
you're just blanketly giving her every year and not really reviewing or anything.
There's an auto renew in the
But it
contract
should-
unless we decide that we don't want her anymore.
I mean, it should be something, yeah, you need to review every year.
So this is the other issue. There are certain requirements to make you a contractor. Now that we have an employee duties should go to an employee. Contractors should be contractors, even more so. So if we're gonna say submitting permits on behalf of the ESD, let's get into that gray area, keeping the agenda, all those things to me keeps it clean, the board stuff. Anything operationally, no matter if it's ESD or ambulance, which is basically working with allegiance,
So you want to take some of her duties away and give them to Jason?
that's what I'm saying. That's what I said about me.
I don't have any input in day-to-day operations. The only thing I do is everything that's for the ESD, as far as pay the bills, the minutes, the notes, the website, and then I deal with the contractors for payments. Other than that, Jason and I talk on a daily basis. He
So-
does the day-to-day stuff.
When we say the plumber that we hired,
So,
who called the plumber, who negotiated that contract, who brought him in?
So I don't pick the vendor. I just ask them, hey, we need a plumber, do we already have one? And if we do, then she will arrange that. If we don't, then between the two of us, we'll have to try and find one.
Yeah, and when I see the word implementation, to me, that's the issue.
She's working as an employee, the way y'all are treating her.
If we're implementing something, that's a Jason thing. That's an employee obligation to go implement what
would
we
you
say.
feel better if that was not in there?
The word implementation, yeah.
No, the whole sentence.
Well, yeah,
Let's cut it out, then let's cut it out, and that way we can end this conversation. We're not getting anywhere with it. And nothing will change.
It's been removed.
Well, if she wasn't doing it, then it shouldn't have been a big deal.
It wasn't. write the contract and omit D
Yes, sir.
and include the current salaries and sign it, then everything's just like it was. Unless, right, George?
Yes, sir.
So what are you saying, Jerry? I just want to clarify what you said.
Well, taking out the problem verbiage and including the contract amount and signing it, even though there was another amount in the budget.
That she's staying at the same rate?
Yes, I said same rate. There will be a surplus in that line item that we can move around, but it has to be done by
Right,
board
but you
action.
don't have to do anything.
No, just to short the meeting, I guess we can do away with these.
So we have the same service with two
You
people
can put in
servicing it
there,
now.
omitted,
Two
December
jobs.
11th, 2020.
Amendment.
Okay.
That's very fun.
So we're gonna table it till she brings it back to us to sign, or what are we doing?
It doesn't need to come back as an exemption.
But it still needs to come back to be signed.
Yeah, she can submit it. I'm assuming Tony's the one who would sign it.
Yeah,
So she
Tony's
can
name is
submit
on
it
it.
to Tony, make sure that he knows what the changes are.
All right, 97? Did you hold it?
Good. Is it a shame we have to put common sense into words?
In the third bullet under duties, do we need that first sentence given there's no subordinates? Or do we leave it in there for future reference? But if we are, then we need to fix the last word of that sentence to be
Yeah.
down here.
Do you know where he is, Christie?
No, I can barely hear him.
Duty, under duties and tasks, bullet number 3. The verbiage, time set as good, example, not exempt.
Why do you have it pulled up? Can you make the changes?
Yes.
No, I don't think.
It won't let me make the changes. But I can write it down and we can do it.
And the responsibilities. I don't think we have any overseas operations.
Why not? So we just need to change the,
Change that.
There you go, bye.
thank you.
You're welcome.
I would like to add that since Mr. Gillespie is here, he was the one I had the conversation with about me being here and what Allegiance would allow me to do or not do. I told him based upon our conversation at our meeting in San Antonio, anything HR, payroll, or disciplinary actions would go through Pat and George.
Yeah.
Day-to-day operations, since I was here,
Yeah.
that with your permission, you guys are granting that authority to me.
No, it's not, not an issue.
I just had an issue with the fact that it was overseas.
I don't want to go overseas either, Mr. Beck.
So Dan, can we get something in writing with that?
Yeah,
That'd be awesome.
yeah, probably just put it in as a, excuse me, as an addendum. I think there was some question about the truck usage too, that, I guess if you guys want to.
Let us
Finish this one.
Yeah.
For sure.
And that we can discuss after the meeting, but it's not part of our agenda.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, we got overseas.
Is that a
Anything else,
vehicle
Jen?
policy?
That's all I saw.
The trucks are under vehicle policy.
Okay. Any other changes I need to check in here?
So below, duties and tasks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bullet where it says overseas maintenance of all EMS vehicles. I guess that's gonna be dependent upon.
The next agenda item.
So do we want to move this after the review of the vehicle policy?
That's included in the vehicle policy. But that has to do with,
But it says command vehicle policy. That's why I didn't think the ambulances would be in there. So we had talked about command vehicle.
So if the command vehicle needs oil change or brakes, then you're giving me the authority to take it and get it done.
Right, because there's limits and there's maximums in this.
I don't think there's a need to address that. I mean, it's,
Most typical agreements say routine maintenance, you approve, or it's similar to an automatic approval at this level. If it exceeds this amount,
And
then,
that's all in here.
Can we just,
well, I haven't got to see it, so I have no idea what it says.
Oh,
can we just say oversees all equipment? Take out everything else? Just seems really dirty.
that, the one underneath it would take care of the building.
We don't need to discuss dollar amount, we discussed that as a,
right, but this is the contract that he has to follow. I think it's okay having it in there. That way, because this is public record, once we get done with it, people will see what the allowable is.
but we had already authorized them to go to a certain spending, that's what I'm saying.
You're
That's
right.
never been discussed to me.
Okay, maybe not to you, but we have discussed it in board meeting.
Sure.
That's all I'm saying, because, I mean, these are two items that you don't have to decide on our behalf to pay for or agree to. Just seems easier to set a dollar threshold for him to be able to approve.
I understand what you're saying, we just need to fix the verbiage.
Yeah.
But I still think even if he has prior authorization to do it, we still need to know about it. So the verbiage, the required to report all repairs needs to stay in there.
See, probably.
With the changes that I made on Jason's complaint. I know the password? Because it shut down and I had to open it back up. Why? What'd you touch?
Doing something.
Oh, it's,
I didn't touch anything other than trying to open up the computer. Go ahead.
I didn't touch nothing. Not a touch. Jason. Are you making me touch things? Underneath or? Okay, there it is. I found it. Found it.
The only thing I would add to this is, any all other duties assigned.
I think I saw that in there somewhere, yes, I did see that in there somewhere.
Last one.
Yeah, it's the last bullet under the duty. Yes.
I would like a clarification. Because each one of you commissioners, you're all individually us.
You won't be giving direction as an individual for me.
Yeah.
I appreciate
It's
it.
supposed to be as a board, not George calls Jason and says, hey, I'm gonna paint the truck.
Well,
Yeah.
but you could ask me for one thing, one could ask me for something opposite or conflicting information, then what am I supposed to do?
It needs to be a board decision to give you directions. So I would say it needs to come from Tony
Okay.
after the board decision.
Christmas card.
Christmas card. Okay, any other discussion or questions on this 7? So we need a motion to accept it with the changes?
I'll make a motion to accept the chief.
Oh, you did that? No, yeah, it's not.
It's gonna have to come back to the board.
Right. It's not a consent item. Okay, so we need to have that on January.
What is that for the minutes?
We need to put number 7 on the January agenda to come back with it, with the changes to approve it.
Who made the motion? And who seconded it?
There's nothing.
There's nothing to motion or accept. We got to bring it back in January with the changes. Because it's not a
So you
consent
decided to
item.
put it on the table till next meeting?
Yeah, so it's not a consent item. So did you do your vote? All right, questions on number 8, review, discuss, and approval of vehicle crossing policy.
Third paragraph.
What do we have?
Vehicle policy.
Yeah, we'll discuss that already.
We haven't made a decision.
Are we the district? District may require one of those to drive these guys.
I don't think we need to require him to take it home.
I don't think we would require them to take it home.
Are we on, I'm sorry.
We're on the number 8, review, discuss, and approve of vehicle policy.
But we're on the command vehicle, not the ambulances.
Right.
Just want to make sure I'm pulling up the right one.
Oh,
I just left it as vehicle policy because the topic of conversation has been, the last meeting was about the usage of the units.
So I know Jerry brought up the, under description of service, the second one, the district may require these employees. We're not gonna send him home with it.
I think that once it leaves the ESD, the liability goes higher. I don't believe that there would be any need for an emergency response from Floresville, because by the time we got here, they're either dead or in the hospital, one or two. Hopefully in the hospital, but I don't think that we need to provide transportation to and from work.
Thank you, sir. Very good.
Like I said last month, they didn't let Patrick bring a fire truck home.
And then the ambulance.
So that, other than that and some spelling and verbiage, that's what happened when you mess with computers.
That first bullet under general provisions. I'm not sure what it's called.
Immediate access to the vehicle for testing.
Add that time. Right?
Yeah, I think it's a British thing.
You want my computer, I guess?
Okay, what is my verbiage need to be under general provisions? District may assign a vehicle.
Task at that time.
Employee on a regular basis.
I would say for tasks that are associated with the operation of the vehicle. Yeah.
The district may assign a vehicle to an employee. Christie, does this mean like something that one's designated to him, or what is that? I don't understand
So what you're
exactly.
looking at is a command vehicle, so
Right.
the command vehicle is designated to just him.
Okay. So it's an incomplete thought, that's why I'm asking you.
So however you need to change it.
No worries, I just wanted to make sure that the thought was complete. Immediate access to the vehicle for tasks. Okay, so we can get rid of, it can say district may assign a vehicle to an employee on a regular basis and leave it there.
Yeah.
Okay. But still keep that in there. That means that one is assigned to each individual. Okay. I'll say the next one. The requirements.
Next bullet. No, second bullet, employees requirements. Should we take out personal vehicle?
Do you respond at any time in your personal vehicle?
Absolutely not. And I won't.
Clarifying.
So the maintaining liability insurance, personal vehicle use, it shouldn't be.
Right, but our insurance, VFIS, I know requires that you maintain insurance on your personal vehicle to be able to be covered on company vehicle.
Yeah, it's covering used.
Right, that's what I'm saying. But Jerry had that question.
Yeah.
vehicle use requirements. That second bullet.
Or under vehicle requirements?
Only to use 4 job-related responsibilities. Should be cool.
Okay.
Would there be any situation where we need allegiance to drive this vehicle?
I don't think so.
The command vehicle, no.
Just want to make sure.
You can allow them to if, God forbid, something happened and they needed to bring it back here. Had a heart attack or got injured and needed transport. They can drive it back.
If-
But
The only time I could see that happening is if the chief responded and two paramedics were in the back working a critical patient, and then somebody could drive it back to the station. Anything our employees touch is automatically insured by us though. So if our if one of our EMTs gets, moves a police car or something on the scene and they happen to scratch it, it's all, so that would be.
There will arise a situation that he gets on the truck and goes with the crew.
Because we only allow for employees.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
So,
But there will, I have no doubt that there will arise an occasion where he goes with the crews.
so we should add allegiance in.
We should at least cover them in this.
I would just say the contract, because then you don't ever have to go back and change it.
Yeah. If we put it up big tomorrow and it's Joe Blow down the street.
Right. Okay. Or you can just put the board's delegate, designee.
Designee.
It's hard to put common sense on paper.
Yes.
Yes.
And you guys are listed as additionally insured on all of our policies, so your vehicles would be.
So under, you see where you're, we can get rid of that one. I need to go home. Right, under the vehicles, requirement, second bullet. The extra bullet under the second bullet. Get rid of that.
I would take both of them. I'm not allowing it.
But it just pulled up on my next screen. Where you at, George? Where you How far?
It's ready to go. Vehicle use requirements.
Some of the children want to use
Maybe.
except for employees.
I heard that.
Yeah. We are doing the
Oh. Christie, just some clarification. Employee will be notified the district and local law enforcement immediately if the vehicle is stolen. There's a bullet point under it that says employee will be responsible for OBA. I'll let you want to have yours.
Because it's probably just a question that's from. This was, like I said, this was a combination of like 4 different policies.
And that's fine.
What's best for
I
us.
just,
Don't know what it means.
I needed clarification.
I don't know.
Do we want him to have to report it to us
It's under the value of $6,000 a month. For anybody right about that.
Children is gone.
It says all vehicle maintenance will be reported to district for approval.
But we gave you permission to spend up to a certain amount underneath the contract, so we can give you that. Oh, I got rid of it.
That's before. Right above that, yes.
I did, yes. That's why I was lost for a second. Reported to the district. Take the approval off because he has to report it.
That's why employee has a copy of
Absolutely no modification.
I did not see anywhere in there, right listed about him having to maintain, him here, central to the battery, having to maintain his own insurance per hour insurance. As long as it's there. Because I know that's VFI. Okay, so take home vehicles, we can get rid of that whole thing, right?
Then the progressive also added a $200.
Was that March of this year?
Okay, so under vehicles,
Oh, no, this is.
routinely travels to meetings or functions relating to specific jobs. Can we put that somewhere else? Because if he needs to be with the fire chief or with dispatch or whatever, we need him to be able to do that. But it needs to be routinely travels to meetings or functions relating to jobs and duties, whether it be the fire chief, dispatch, whatever. We need to have that somewhere in there, but not underneath.
This is, what you were asking about the insurance, my personal insurance, that is only if I'm using my personal vehicle for the district.
No, it's not.
That's what this says.
Under VFIS?
No, that's what the employee required me to say.
Okay, so under VFIS insurance, for you to be covered under our insurance, you have to have your own personal insurance as well. You have to maintain that. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
And it says will maintain. It says,
That's why I asked. It's in there. It's all I asked.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, because that is a VFIS policy, not an ESD policy. Does that make sense? Okay. No, under here, so if he has to go to dispatch, or if he just cleared a call and he needs to go to meet with the fire chief or whatever, I need him to be able to do that under job duties, because that's not personally related, that's job duties.
together that you guys could.
So is he down? No. Routinely travels in the, not the take home. I know it's on the take home.
I know that you don't
But I
have
need
to
to
cover
say
it,
something.
but
He is going to be allowed all his job
if I
duties,
had
no
some
matter.
clear, I could send it in, I could send it to check
See what I'm saying?
for a week or so.
That's what I'm asking, to make sure that it's in there, so I can get rid of all of that. I just want to make sure before I delete all that. So, I'm
Really happy with it.
all of this, but I needed to make sure
I think I did a good deal
is,
Pearl Harbor.
it is, that's what I was asking. That's all I was doing. But it is in there, closer to the top. In your pickup.
So we go through real careful.
I did put 4 in there, because Jerry wrote it down. You read the whole thing, you didn't read that? Silly.
Flies everywhere.
So, it's not touching.
Fortunately, I've never seen him that mad.
Okay, so is there anything, any more discussion, anything need to be removed or put in there for this company vehicle? Okay, so because it is a discuss and approval, I need a motion.
Make a motion, we approve the policy with all the changes.
George and then one.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate you, George.
Haven't got Yeah, I need a, so we have a motion and we have a second. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Okay. All right, so we need to, I don't have anything for discussions.
Good.
Everything on here for that.
Except for,
Still under.
It's under vehicle policy, I left it in general.
okay. Let me get that.
Since we have two different
I
vehicles.
got you. Oh, I thought, yeah.
And if you give me a second, I will try to find the agreement that was signed.
Okay. Still underneath the vehicle policy.
I see command vehicle policy, and that's it.
Yeah, Chrissy, I only have the command vehicle policy. Is that what you told me?
I'm trying to see when I
my
sent it
bad.
to you guys.
My bad, it's when I'm done.
I just have to find it when I sent to you guys.
No worries. Yes, go ahead and just give us your information.
At the previous meeting, conversations with Mr. Gillespie and Tony and George and Campbell and I, Allegiance with the renewal or the extension of their agreement. Allegiance was going to send us over their maintenance agreement to do maintenance, fuel, routine maintenance for our trucks if they operated them, and in turn agreed to not go with their 5% annual increase that they're allowed to do per our agreement. They agreed to keep the pricing the same if they were operating our trucks. They agreed, Mr. Gillespie said that he would insure them, which we do have copies of their insurance cards, and they provided over a maintenance agreement saying that they would pay for all the routine maintenance, tire, oil changes that the trucks need. I know that those agreements went to the attorney's office. I don't know where they stand at this point. Hopefully.
Yeah, I believe we signed them a while back. Yeah, just to hit on that. So after all the decisions were finalized about the EMS program, Tony had called and said, look, we have this equipment now. We don't want it to just sit around. Is there a way that you guys could utilize it? What would that look like? So my first recommendation is, look, we can just, if you shoot us over an invoice, we can just buy the equipment off of you guys and operate it on your behalf, which is not an issue. So we just run an FMV, you send me an invoice, our bank wires you the money the next morning, and we're done, it's over with, and we'll take over the equipment.
You would have bought it at our price or?
Yeah, basically, because the FMV, you guys have only owned it for.
We were told in the October meeting that they couldn't be sold.
I'm sorry, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So, that's obviously the easiest way to do it is if we just take possession of it. There was some concern on Tony's side of, well, with the agreement, what do we have, a year left or something? Like, if the discussion comes back up at the end of the term to bring it back in-house, well, then you just sold off all your equipment, you need to buy it back. So there was some, well, is there a way you guys can just operate it until we figure out what the long-term plan is? I said, yeah, we have agreements with other entities where we operate their equipment, or we maintain it, we insure it, if we go and total it, we replace it, you break it, you buy it type deal. Yeah. Believe me. So it's not like a free, like, we're not gonna go out and use it and then bill you guys for the fuel and the oil changes and all that. We'll take care of it as if it's ours. And then your insurance then goes way down because it's basically just putting it on your books, but if any damage actually occurs, it's under our plan, so your insurance goes way down. But yeah, so those were the two options of, we could either just buy it outright and take it over, or at the time, Tony felt more comfortable with just keeping everything in-house, until a long-term decision was made. So we're good either way. I mean, we can use our equipment like we are now. We can buy our equipment. Whatever you guys want to do,
The only legality that we had to do was for DSHS on the side of our trucks, and at minimum of 2-inch lettering, we had to put operated by Allegiance Global Health,
Right.
and their number, which we did. So if you agree, it's a matter of take the license off their trucks, they put them on ours, and our trucks stay in our district, funded by our taxpayers, servicing our constituents.
That sounds like a whole nother agenda item for a long discussion
I agree.
in another meeting.
Mm-hmm.
But I like both of your options.
Yeah. This is the first time we heard all of the options.
So,
Sure. It was, like I said, it was done on a phone call, and when George called and said, what was the deal on the trucks? I was like, I'll be at the next meeting.
Both of the options sound great.
Yeah.
I do think that we need to put it on the agenda for January and hash it out.
Yeah.
Both of them sound excellent.
Yeah, we've done, for example, the city of Corsicana Fire Department, we manage their EMS program for them right now. They still own all their ambulances because they're not sure if the fire department's gonna wanna take that back in-house. So they wanted to keep titles and assets, so they didn't sell it to us and then have to turn around 2 years later and then buy all the equipment all over again. So, Tony was of the same mindset of like, all right, well, if a year from now we decide to do this again, then do we have to go buy new trucks and stretchers and all the stuff that we just sold off? So he was not sure that selling it outright was the right decision at the moment. I said, look, if you guys want to use the equipment, we can. We have agreements that allow us to insure it, take care of it, maintain it. It's no cost to the district. You guys aren't going to be footing the fuel bills and all that.
And y'all have a copy of that so we can read over it?
So just to make sure we get it at least close, so 5% increase on the contract that would have been about $10,000 to $11,000.
Something like that, yeah.
Right? Okay. I just want to make sure I have the right number for the discussion. Sure.
But yeah, we're good either way. So we can, if you guys send us an invoice, our bank can literally wire the money the next morning. So it's not an issue. We certainly don't want the taxpayers to feel like we're taking advantage of the situation or trying to use anything for free or anything like that. But I did, when Tony called, he was concerned, like, now we just spent all this money on all this nice equipment. And as the taxpayers are going to see it just sitting there collecting dust while we're using your ambulances, is that going to be a bad thing as well? So trying to make best use of what the board wants.
We appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
No executive. Good.
So the regular meeting, the next regular meeting will be January 8th. Comments? Right.
Can I get copies of these?